Hey everybody, it's A Dog's Life with Angela Ardolino, and this is like the first time ever I've had to like do my entry twice because I'm so excited to have my guest today. She's been on my list forever. I have probably followed you now for about 3 years. I don't know if you notice my books behind me.
There you go.
Always refer to. But you're one of my faves, and I was so happy to hear you speak. And I was, as I was fixing my hair, I was trying to remember what event it was that I heard you speak. But I remember you talking about CBD. So then I was even more thrilled that you were open-minded and trying it and looking into it. And then I loved everything you said about, dealing with the ridiculous regulations and what you can and can't do and say. So, of course, I'm thrilled to have you on to talk about that because we just came back from a tour where we toured the West Coast and where we, have all kinds of allies over there who not only have been using, cannabis medicine on pets for the past 3 years with great success, but fought and worked hard to be able to recommend it in the state of California, which they still can't do. They can talk about it, but they can't all come out. So we're still, and I say we're because we've joined the fight to help them. And we're also getting the blueprint, or we have the blueprint from how they did it in California in case we need to do it in the other states, because it is just ridiculous. And I feel like going into the, I learned everything in the human side of things. And then when I realized pets had the same system as us is when I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So I have already seen all this stupid stuff happen in the human side of things. So on the pet side of things, I'm just seeing everything happen again, and it's so irritating. But anyway, I should probably tell everybody who I'm talking to and who's giggling on the other line. I have Dr. Judy Morgan with me, and she is a holistic you're an integrative vet.
Yes.
But I would say that you, most of the time, like many integrative vets, that you look for the natural before turning to something outside the natural when a pet really needs it. Is that true? And hello.
Hi, thanks for having me on. Yes, absolutely. I do practice integrated medicine, so I do not shun traditional medicine. There are times when we are going to need that. I find, especially in acute medicine, but in chronic medicine, we definitely are looking to try to get the body to heal. And depending on how long the chronic disease has been in place, that is going to play into how long it will take to turn things around. Some things are easier than others. But I definitely look for alternative therapies that I can utilize, because if I then do have to use let's say I have to use a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory or some sort of drug for pain relief. By using alternative methods, a lot of times that dosage becomes so low that the side effects are really minimal. So that's where the alternative modalities can be so extremely helpful. So for instance, for arthritis, I have a full page list that I will hand to the client, and it has about 16 or 18 different treatment methods that we can use, most of which are natural therapies, and we can combine them. And then we talk about the cost, the time involved, the length to improvement, and it's sort of choosing off the menu and deciding what's going to work. And we'll start with a couple of things, and then we can keep building on that as we go along. So I really look for all those alternatives, and we're always learning. There's new things that we come up with almost daily.
So, you have a podcast.
Facebook Live? I do Facebook Live. My podcast I had to stop doing. I ran out of time. I just have no time. And it was really popular. It was #1 on its platform from the very first show we did for 2 years straight. And when I left, the platform owners were devastated. They said, you've been our #1 show. How could you leave? I said, I just have no time. Maybe I should reconsider it because I have more time now with the coronavirus.
I was going to say, well, let me know because I'm happy to help you in any way. We're looking in the cannabis industry side of things of starting a magazine that's holistic pet health and cannabis and CBD, and do it with Dr. Richter and Dr. Hazah and Dr. Weiner and all those vets over there that have been using it for so long, and those types of things. So if you want, let me know, because I sold my magazine that I started to get into the cannabis industry.
Wow.
So it's kind of funny that if I end up meshing that too, which is why I'm so great at content, because it's what I've been doing for years. But yeah, this pandemic has allowed me to catch up and record. I mean, we have, our content, we're stuck here. Our whole team came here. We're here in Florida. We all came to the farm. I have a rescue farm. So we're all here at my house, and we're just, what are people talking about? What do people want to know? Educating as many people as we possibly can about the benefits of CBD and cannabis medicine. And now, unfortunately, letting them know the differences and why some work and why some don't work in the industry and that type of thing. So I know that you are pro CBD and medicine, cannabis medicine. What is some experiences have you had? How do you feel about it in the industry? What do you think we need to do as a holistic community to get this?
The industry's a mess, not because, partly because of producers and wholesalers, retailers, whatever, but partly because of regulatory industry making things ridiculously complicated, setting rules, sometimes enforcing them, sometimes not, making arbitrary rules. Arbitrary rules.
No sense whatsoever.
Exactly. One of my early intros into the regulatory part of it was at an AFCO meeting, Association of Feed Control Officials, a couple years ago. And for years, they've been trying to get hemp as a defined ingredient in the AFCO manual so that it can be used in pet food products. And the powers that be at AFCO were just like, no, we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it. And it was sort of like they stuck their fingers in their ears, put their hands over their eyes and said, no, not doing it. And there was a regulator from Minnesota he was the funniest one. He said, I just cannot wait to retire. He was an older gentleman. He'd been on the board for a long time. And he said, I just cannot wait to retire, because he had this cattle rancher who was growing huge fields of hemp, grinding it and feeding it to his cattle as part of his haylage and silage. And his cattle were great. They did great. The meat was awesome. And basically, legally, they could not stop him from feeding it to his own cattle, but they could stop him from selling it to other ranchers to feed to their cattle. But he was kind of in this regulatory official's face all the time, kind of flaunting that he knew just how far he could push it and how he could get around it. And, the regulator was just like, I just want to retire. I don't want to deal with this anymore.
They have too much work.
Yeah, and they have no understanding of it. So at the following AFCO meeting after that, the Colorado hemp industry showed up, and they are doing great research there. They've been on the forefront with this for a very long time. And so they were great at presenting research that's being done, feeding trials, and they've been very proactive about actually getting the science behind it so that they can get the approvals done. But the powers that be on the board are still literally like, we don't want to hear it, we don't want to see it, so it'll be a long time. It takes 3 to 5 years to get an ingredient approved anyway. So it'll be a long time. But I've been using CBD in my practice for quite a while, and we use it for multiple things: arthritis, pain, cancer, IBD, seizures. There's a lot of things we use it for, with varying degrees of success depending on the degree of disease. We use it for anxiety, travel, motion sickness, just tons of things. And the success is variable, depends, I think, a lot on the product as well as the pet and what they have going on.
Morgan, and we're talking about CBD, which I've been dying to have this conversation with you, so I'm really excited about it. I do want to talk about, we talked about, you said how basically all products are not created equal if you're looking for a CBD or cannabis product. And I say cannabis product because if it's illegal, if you're in a legal state like California, you can get more THC for your pet if it needs it. So that's why I always refer to it. I also went to the University of Vermont School of Medicine and got the certificate in therapeutic uses in biology of medical cannabis, where I was hammered in my head to call it medicine and medical cannabis. And of course, in the industry. Is that coming from you or from me? You're the one with the Cavaliers. Is that a Cavalier snore?
Yes.
I have a 15-year-old Shih Tzu next to me, and I'm like, that sounds like either a potato or a Cavalier snore.
That's Cavalier snore.
Mine just joined in. I hope we can pick it up. That'll be hilarious to see. See, now I'm all distracted. I forgot. They literally are in stereo now. You can't hear. Anyway, our snores, our old dogs. Anyway, so before we talk about they're not all created equal, I want to talk about a little bit more about the regulation and things like that, because the FDA is probably never going to get around to regulating a pet product ever. There's already salves in the human market out there and tinctures out there in the human market. There's 15 states left that haven't gone full, haven't done medical or recreational. So it's kind of crazy, but I talk about science, I talk about research, and I've been using the medicine for 5 years. What happened, I don't know if you know this about me, but what happens here where I live is that I get handed animals that they've tried everything and there's nothing else to try, and they hand them to me, and now I get really excited because I am able to, I have gotten rid of cancer. I get 15-year-old dogs that, I know were fed kibble and chicken. She has, covered in papillomas and MCTs, and one eye is crazy and whatever. And this dog is coming back. I've done it over and over again. So, but I'm not a vet, and I, keep track of everything. But so when someone says it didn't work, that's the first thing I ask is, let me see what you tried. Because of course, being naive, when I first got into this, I'm like, it always works. If you're doing this, it works. But then I realized, oh my gosh, there's no regulation. These are companies taking a human product and going, ooh, look, we can make money on the pet industry. Take that human product, slap a label on it, and sell, a 150 milligram bottle for $69 or whatever it is. But people trying to regulate it, it's crazy, because I'm in fights with one right now. I've been called a renegade, and screwing the whole industry up because I refuse to recommend dosing by weight, because that's not how it works. Or I just tell my own stories or whatever it is. I'm just anti-regulating unless you're going to do it right, unless vets can recommend it, and they don't even care about that.
Right.
Which totally makes me go, then you're only in it for the money. You don't care about the pets.
Yeah.
So tell me some of the successes that you've had using a full spectrum, really good, pure product.
Well, for people that know me, they know that we have Cavalier King Charles Spaniels. That's who's snoring in the background. And Cavaliers are known for having neurologic diseases, two of which are SM, syringomyelia, and the other one is COMS, caudal occipital malformation. But they're both very painful and can cause seizures, fly biting syndrome, air scratching, and pain. And for years, the only thing we had a lot of things in our arsenal, but the mainstay was always things like gabapentin or Neurontin, which is pregabalin, and Tagamet, omeprazole, just a long list of pharmaceuticals. And when we started using CBD products, a lot of clients would start adding that in and say, oh my gosh, my dog seems so much more comfortable. I'm going to try backing off on the medication. And so a lot of them were either able to come off their medications or have a major reduction in medications.
I'm so happy to hear that you say that, because of course, when people ask, you always say, people come to you and go, my dog's been eating kibble. It's been over vaccinated. It's got all these problems. Please heal them with only natural things. And you're like, whoa. So I get it. So people do the same thing to me on a regular basis. And I'm like, I'm not a vet. I'm not a vet. I'm not a vet. Consult with your vet. Problem is they consult with their vet. The vet knows nothing about
Exactly.
CBD or cannabis, and they go, nope, it's going to kill your dog, or yep, your dog got worse because you're using CBD, or whatever it is. So
Right.
What the heck do they do? Because I can't advise them. I can only tell them what I did or do. It's like this evil circle. So of course, that's why it's so important to have people like you on, so that they can hear these stories. And or can they book a consult with you?
They can. Interestingly, it's a little difficult for us to even talk about it in California. The veterinarians were told they absolutely could not talk about it. They can't do research on it. They can't have any ownership in any company that's doing research on it, which, hello, we're looking at medications for animals. Who better to be in on that research than veterinarians?
And guess what? Right. Guess the human research was done on animals.
Yeah. So a lot of it's arbitrary and silly, but so we have to actually be very careful. And for years, I did have CBD products on my website. I talked about it a lot. I sold it. And maybe it was only a year ago. Wow. Things have changed so fast.
I know, it's crazy.
My son was selling CBD products for people and pets, not his own products. They were products from a company that we really liked, and he had a supplement website, so he was selling them, and he was using PayPal, and PayPal closed him down.
Yep, we did that, and then they kept money. Did they
yeah. So
money for 6 months, and then it took us after 6 months, we're like, okay, hello. And it was like $30,000.
Yeah, well, they kept my money. They refused to give it back. So my son got shut down. I was in Costa Rica, and he called me and he said, Mom, we have a big problem. I'm taking the CBD, because he ran my website. He said, I'm taking the CBD off your website as of right now. I said, okay, get it off of there. And so that was in May. PayPal shut me down middle of August. He got shut down May 15th because their goal was to get everybody cleaned out by May 15th. And it was really interesting because PayPal, when people ordered on my website, we have over 200 products on our website. So PayPal never could see that there was CBD as part of an order. So somehow they tracked back and were looking at the websites of all the products that were being sold, whatever. And I think this was not copacetic from a PayPal standpoint, but I had a personal account and a business account on PayPal. So I had two accounts. So they shut them both down.
Yep, me too.
And I don't think you're allowed to have two accounts. So I think that was part of their problem. But
no, I had a business, a legit business one.
Me too.
Legit.
Yeah, me too. So, but anyway, so they shut them both down. And my personal account, they did give the money back to me, which was only a couple $1,000s. My business one, they kept all the money. So they kept it for the 6 months or whatever the heck it was. And then when it was time to get it back, they said, nope, we're keeping it for damages done to PayPal. And it's like, are you
okay? So I'm happy to help you get that money back, because they said that shit with me.
Really?
And we got it back. It was like, oh,
good for you.
Because there is nothing that we have done. We're completely compliant.
Exactly.
And we know more than they did. But yeah, we went through it. So then you leave PayPal, and we got another bank, and then that bank got taken over by another bank that said, no, we're not they just stopped CBD companies, but they gave us a lot of time because they were nice. And now Stripe has approved us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're Stripe, and we go through all kinds of, they go through the whole website to make sure you're not making any
Yep.
of the claims and all that. So we're doing all that. But yeah, what we do with most of our vets is we set up an affiliate program so that they're able to track it. We could track it. We're actually bringing on a chief vet who's going to run case studies, and send out bottles, free bottles in exchange for people keeping track, so that we can get case by case what works, what we use type of thing. Because everybody that's doing research right now is big, we'll call them big pharma in the pet industry or in the cannabis industry. And they're in bed with the ones that are regulating that. The supplements that are now have the Supplement Association, which has now decided to take on CBD, but he's only taking on certain companies
Right.
working with. And they, of course, want to recommend broad spectrum. And one of the reasons that, as you know, I have a line of products, because in 2015, when I got the education, I went to find a product and there wasn't one. So I ended up formulating one, and I use other essential oils besides, hemp extract. And I make it like a human medicine. We extract it only from the flower. We extract it from a CBD dominant plant, and we only do CO2 supercritical. And then I include other essential oils that are pure and go through the same process and have certificate of analysis to make sure. I tell this story all the time, that the most difficult thing was not finding a hemp farm to grow the hemp that I wanted. It was finding pure essential oils in the United States, or someone who could bring them in and I could trust that, they did everything. That's what took me longer than anything. But, everything that I've done has been and you talked about it this morning, how many pets come into my shop, my groom and boarding shop, that have allergies and are suffering and are on so many medications. And then on top of that, some bullshit science diet that's non-food. And then here I am, the lady in the face mask telling you about raw and who to follow and what to do. And here's what CBD can do. But so I have seen everything. I have, when I started doing it, I just did what I learned in school, not thinking I would get the results I did. But, from my own dogs to my rescue. So to people not giving up because they can't afford it anymore. The pet's just getting worse. They can tell their pet's suffering. And to me, the number one thing was that pets don't have to suffer.
Right.
That's the number one thing it does. What can you advise pet parents to do? The other thing that's so funny is that I feel like I'm already getting it from all sides, like homeopaths. So I've got homeopaths that are secretly using my products, and I'm thinking to myself, why are you secretly using it? This should be it's my favorite essential oil. Combine it. If we're at the point where the pet is geriatric, and I'm talking about horses, dogs, cats, and you're a homeopath, why are you using CBD? Let's figure out what we can use with it. Because the other problem is that the people in the holistic world, just yesterday, we're getting them on a CBD regimen for allergies. I think he's an American bulldog with the red all down here in the hives and everything else. So a lot of times when you switch, as you know, they actually get a lot worse before they get better. It's almost like their body reacting to it or getting it all out.
Detoxing. They're detoxing.
So I always have to warn people. People are also not comfortable with watching a tumor die on their dog and fall off and bleed and ooze and all that stuff. So it's kind of funny when you're like, no, this is how you naturally do it. This is how you let the body do it. So what are some of the experiences that you've seen or that you have, your successes? I know you said anxiety, of course. And then
Well, and then pain. But one of the things that I think is important for people to understand, CBD is can be an awesome addition to what you're doing,
Right.
but you really can't continue to feed a very poor quality diet, continue to load your pet with toxic chemicals for flea and tick prevention. If you're going to continue to do all of that, then just throwing CBD or a cannabis product on top of that, you're not going to solve the problem. And I think that's a lot of times when people say, well, this doesn't work, it's because they're not looking at the whole picture, and they're looking for the magic pill.
Yep.
And the magic pill does not exist. So my favorite thing is food therapy. So I always look at the diet. I start there, and
So do we.
and not everyone has to feed a raw product, but we do need to feed whole food products. So, so I've had some seizure dogs that with their diet change, a lot of times we add in herbals and their CBD, these dogs can do really, really well. And we've used CBD on horses. My horse had EPM, which is a protozoal neurologic disease. And when I added in the CBD oil, his stability was so improved. It was such a huge difference. Horses require big old doses.
Remember, Dr. Morgan, remember who owned the patent for medical cannabis as a neuroprotectant and antioxidant? Do you know who that is?
No, I don't.
United States government.
Oh, of course.
Of course, right? So they've known since, I think it was 1992 or late 80s that they owned it. They don't own it anymore. I'm pretty sure GW Pharmaceuticals, who put out Epidiolex, if I don't even care about the pharma. I know what they're going to do. I know what they're doing.
Sure. Absolutely.
So it's kind of funny. I expected that from big pharmaceutical companies, but I didn't expect it coming from natural supplement associations. I didn't expect it to come from homeopaths. I mean, literally, I would be at the AHVMA and raise my hand and go, and I thought they were going to throw stones at me. And I was like, wow, I'm just trying to figure out how we can work together, because when a person whose dog is suffering sends you everything they're giving their dog and it's 12 pages long, my first instinct is, can we stop all of that? And it's nothing's pharmaceuticals. It's all natural things. Right. I know some of them are not natural. I know she wants the best for her pet. And that's the first thing we say. Let's stop that. And we need to start with the gut.
Right.
And not just give you full spectrum and you continue to feed milk bone treats and kibble and bits, because it ain't going to work. It's
exactly.
Steroids are going to work because it just suppresses everything, but you're just killing your dog. So where can pet parents reach out and get information so that when their vet says it's going to kill them, I can go, here's a vet who will safely tell you how to, or, do you want to write? I mean, every dog's an individual, so I know we can't just write an article about it, but I would love to talk about these things so that people feel comfortable. I want pet parents to take their pet's health into their own hands, because that's the only way that they're going to heal their dog naturally, is by repairing the gut, learning what to feed them. I have 11 dogs on my farm right now, and 4 of them eat one thing, 3 of them eat something else, and 2 only eat this. And
exactly,
they're all different, and I have to figure it out. And I look at poop a lot, and I look at throw up a lot, and we figure it out. But yeah, I do food and CBD and a couple herbs for a couple dogs that have special issues, because genetics, we can't control genetics.
Right. Exactly.
So one of my favorite things is helping with allergies. Even genetics, if we get diet right and figure out what is appropriate for them, and then support them with a CBD, which will help bring down the inflammation and help them not itch or react to it, and support their immune system, we really can. And what's crazy, today when I was listening to your, I was late, I woke up late, but I was listening it to on replay, we literally I said something and then you said it right after, and I'm like, I love this woman. Because the number one thing I see come into my shop, and I estimate that about 85% of the dogs that come into my shop have problems.
Oh yeah.
problems. And as I'm sure you know, they come see the groomer much more often than they go see the vet. And we're the ones going, you need someone to look at this dog's ear infection.
Right.
You know, this dog's skin is coming off in the bath. You need, whatever it is.
Yep.
I forgot what I was saying.
Yeah. So my website is drjudymorgan.com. Very simple. www.drjudymorgan.com. I do actually have quite a few articles on CBD that I wrote quite a few years ago that are, so you can put them in the search up top and it'll bring up all the articles I've written on CBD. Awesome. I haven't written anything recently, again, because of FDA and a little bit of, a tiny bit of fear about licensure.
Right.
Because
so people
it's become a problem.
Yeah, people need to understand that vets are not interested in losing their license over
exactly.
whether they believe it or not.
Right.
But it's the reason that we can do it. They can do it in California is because California's had medical marijuana for 30 years and they're recreational. So it's a lot, and they still picked on the vets, and the vets had to come together and fight. So this is something that we have to do all together. Is that, my gosh, they say vets should recommend it, but vets are not allowed to recommend it.
Exactly.
What are we supposed to do? So what I remembered what I was saying, how dogs are born genetically. And the reason that my logo is a French bulldog, the Frenchie, is because I've never seen 1-year-old, 2-year-old dogs with allergies. All kinds of allergies that have no explanation. The dog is not over vaccinated. It's only a year old. It's being fed fresh. What the heck? And that's why I have been able to help so many get off of Apoquil and get on CBD and figure out what to feed on the diet, and knowing that food is medicine. As Billy Hoekman of Answers Pet Food calls our CBD product a food. He says, I don't do supplements. I only do food. And this is a plant food. This is a whole plant medicine, whole plant food that is wonderful addition. Thank you so much. If you want to see her live, tune in on Facebook. What is your Facebook? Dr. Judy Morgan, right?
It's Judy Morgan DVM, as in Doctor of Veterinary Medicine. So Judy Morgan DVM on Facebook. We do Facebook Live Monday through Friday, usually around 8 a.m.
That's okay. Catch it in replay.
It's always there in replay. And we actually have a supporters group, which is a paid subscription for $10 a month. And the supporters, we do evening educational webinars. And so right now we are actually going through body organs and systems one at a time, talking about different diseases attached to them, diagnostics, treatments, that sort of thing.
Good. So those of you looking for a vet, and you're in Illinois, right?
New Jersey. I graduated from Illinois, but I practice in New Jersey.
Okay, great. You're in New Jersey, and I know that you help out Monkey House also. So
yes.
Shout out to her. Thank you so much for everything that you do and for educating us. You're my favorite, and keep up the good work. And if you ever need a cannabis person or want to know what's going on in that industry, let me know how I can help you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.